Hello, welcome back to the Strawberin0 channel. I'm back with another reaction to another video by SsethTzeentach. This one is Path of Exile review. The best comparison, which may be just partially accurate, is imagine Diablo, like the classic Diablo gameplay of, isometric perspective. You're beating the shit out of demons or crackheads or demon crackheads or whatever. And Path of Exile is basically that. In ways, it's more grounded. From what I've seen, I'm not very fucking experienced with the game, but also it's more focused on that online experience. Diablo might as well be a single player game with optional co-op. Like, it doesn't use the multiplayer aspect of itself that well, in my opinion at least. And I remember I played it first with my friend when we were a bit younger, like teenagers, and he bounced off of it, which I dropped shortly after because you know how that addiction to certain games starts? Like, to me, it happened with League, CSGO, Dead by Daylight, even something such as Payday 2, which I'm currently playing fucking religiously. It started off, I played with my friends and I could not imagine myself playing without friends, without them in co-op. And then I got hooked on the game, and then my friends fell off one by one. They didn't want to keep playing, and I kept grinding on my own. Like, at first coming back, to play some casual games, and then hardcore degenerate grinding followed that basically. And I liked Path of Exile, but I never reached that point where I could play it by myself. I really needed someone to whack into the game enough with me so that I would get hooked, and I guarantee I would be degenerate hardcore deep into the game. But as it happened, which has not happened with those other games I mentioned, I've played with my friend, he fell off, I didn't stick around, I dropped the game completely. A couple of years pass, I actually tried playing this game with my girlfriend. I don't know if there were like internet issues or she had issues with how the game plays on a controller or something, but she also dropped off the game fairly quickly, and in that second attempt I didn't stick around. So I'm guessing by now I will never get into the game. But Path of Exile 2, me and my girlfriend looked at the trailers, and that game looks so goddamn gorgeous, and it is very promising. So maybe Path of Exile 2 will be that game that will get me, in there. So I'm curious as to what Seth has to say, because I'm assuming like every game he reviews he's kind of an expert in, so I'm assuming he was deep into it at some point. So I really wanna hear what he has to say in his Path of Exile review. So let's run it.
Hey people, Seth here. Let me tell you about a game I've played on and off for years, Path of
Okay, so I guessed correctly, he was deep in there at some point.
Exile. Path of Exile is a free-to-play Diablo clone action RPG, and much more of a spiritual successor to Diablo 2 than free could ever be. It's made by grinding.
I wanted to say, calling it a Diablo clone is a little bit harsh. Like, games can be similar, games can have very similar gameplay and go for a completely different feeling. Like I said, I think I think Path of Exile goes for that multiplayer, community-focused game, unlike Diablo, which could easily be like, any multiplayer aspects could so fucking easily be just ignored,
Gear Games, a Chinese Skinner box company operating in New Zealand, a lesser-known colony of mainland China. It is, in the spirit of Diablo clones, a huge grind fest for items and money, but there's layers of complexity to keep you.
I mean, that's any dungeon crawler of this nature, to be fair. Like, fucking any MMO, to be honest, is a grind fest.
you interested. For a start, all your skills come from gems, which come in two forms, active and support. Active gems do stuff. Support gems modify the stuff they do. These need to be socketed into items to do stuff, and linked if you want the support gems to actually affect the active gems. This leads to some creative and retarded combos. Cast on Death is a perfectly valid way to play, and don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. There's multiple characters to play, with their own backstory to how they ended up on the path of Exile. Trademark copyright. Basically, everyone who does bad shit in Oriath gets sent to Rayclast, where they'll probably die. In Exile, the Templar questioned his faith, the witch had her house burnt so she fried some boomers' kids, and the Marauder didn't meet diversity quotas. Most of the class fried.
I think I played The Witch the last time I tried it. At first,
some boomers' kids, and the Marauder.
Yeah, at first I played the Marauder with my friend, and then with my girlfriend I played the Witch. And I remember the skill tree is fucking insane in this
Most
game.
of the classes have good reasons for being shipped off to Rayclast. My favorite has to be the Duelist, because his entire reason for being here is literally, some nobleman talked shit to me. So, I fucking killed him. What a guy. You can see where the inspiration came from for all the different settings. Rayclast is loosely based on New Zealand. The forests are filled with koalas who want to tear your skin off, and the beaches are filled with meth heads who want to stab you for your wallet. Your skills mixed with your gear.
I've never been to New Zealand, but I'm going to assume that's 100% accurate and truthful. Why would Seth lie to us? But those koala enemies look goofy as fuck. What the hell? Like, every other enemy that I encountered is going for that horror, creepy aesthetic. What the fuck were those koala
and these
bears?
in turn are influenced by your passive skill tree,
Yeah,
which is
there we
fucking
go.
massive. Just look at this shit. Every class starts in a different spot in the tree, but all the passives are the same. Classes get to choose unique passives.
Yeah, so basically you can like loop around, and of course nobody does that because that's worthless for most part for your class. But if you really wanted to, you could like loop around and end up into the section of a tree that belongs to a completely different class. And I think that shit is so cool and unique. I mean, I don't wanna say unique because I think Final Fantasy X worked exactly like this, where everybody was on the same like giant skill tree but in different places, and you could eventually loop around. So I'm not gonna pretend that this is 100% original idea, but when it comes to multiplayer games, I have never seen other like multiplayer game actually use a system like this. And this is really cool.
Passives later on. This might sound very complex at first, and then you'll realize that nothing fucking matters except more life and damage. I recommend the first time you play to just do your own thing and experiment. Then, once you hit a brick wall and can't progress any further, look up one of the most meta builds for the current patch and brainlessly steamroll through the content. It's a learning experience, and there's a lot to do. Finishing the main arc of a story is just the start of Endgame, where you will autistically tweak out your character with more and more ridiculous setups until you burn out and stop playing until the next league. The classic life cycle of most Diablo clones. Or, in the case of one of my friends, finish Act 3 and tell me that the game's too short because he missed the exit leading to the other 7 acts. When asked about his build, he said, "What do you mean linking gems? I've just been using Heavy Strike. Path of Exile has a bit of a learning curve, and it's not for brainlets. But as long as you come from a civilization that's discovered fire and has some frontal lobe development, you'll be okay. Each league puts a new spin on the game mode, giving you new ways to grind, and you can choose to either play as softcore or hardcore. Hardcore players are, of course, the vegans of Path of Exile, and we all know there's no such thing as a quiet vegan. If you interact with a Path of Exile player, they'll either tell you that they also play and enjoy the game, or they'll start screaming incoherently that they only play hardcore, solo self-found, and that they desynced for 1 millisecond yesterday and lost their character for the 3rd time this week. As a free-to-play game, Path of Exile servers sometimes aren't the best, and you can rubber band or desync. This isn't a problem for a regular human being. Hardcore players will, however, pathologically blame everyone but themselves for dying and demand a server rollback each time it happens. This pathological behavior extends into their private life, as many of them have, unfortunately, lost custody of a kids. Siphoning alimony payments into microtransactions ensures that
You know, the most shocking thing he said is that Path of Exile players actually have fucking kids and relationships. Like, that's the thing I find hardest to believe.
their spouses receive minimal support. Their children may have mandatory visitation days, but they universally hate it. One child I talked to, Timothy, was brutally beaten with a bamboo stick after he picked evasion over a health node on the passive tree. And you know what? He got off easy. But the game is completely free. The only money you spend on it is on microtransactions, which don't directly influence gameplay. Even if you're not interested in cosmetics, you will, sooner or later, need practical shit like extra stash tabs and specialized tabs for holding currency items. Speaking of currency, that is the primary objective of this game, obtaining currency. Unlike fiat banking systems in modern countries, the primitive people of Rayclast trade items for rocks of different colors. You can smash these rocks in your equipment, denting and changing them in the process. An Exalted Orb is one of the most valuable rocks, and many players haven't even found one. Chaos Orbs are far more common rocks, but appropriately rare enough that they're the gold standard for trading. The main point of Path of Exile isn't the creative builds, the metagame, or the challenge of getting to max level. It's trading. I sit here all day, plugged into PoeTrade, and I flip shit for hours and hours.
Man, I remember when I used to do this exact shit in Team Fortress 2 when I was in middle school. God damn, those were the good times. I got so many free Steam games out of lowballing Polish and Russian players for their items and selling them at an incredible upmark on one of those exchange websites. Good
I don't
times.
even leave my fucking hideout, which is beautiful by the way. I'm so glad I picked Haku as my master. What other master lets you place dead fish and rotting bodies on the shoreline? What other master allows you to block the entrance with shipwrecks and pointy sticks? None of them, except Haku. I'm hooked into every API. I've got that shit on live alerts. I've got PoeTrade on my phone so I can lowball people for prices on alt accounts. I try match users with known sex offender registries so I can blackmail them into selling their lore weave for cheap. I make prints of all my trades and fax them to children in Malaysia just to inspire them. I buy shit cheap and I sell it higher. Why? For what purpose? To see the numbers rise. At its heart, this is the real meaning of Path of Exile. It's a cutthroat world out there, more brutal than any corporate position, but less paid and with longer hours. Do you really think you've got what it takes? Being good isn't good enough, not when you're competing with hundreds of Russian spam bots on auto-refresh. Sometimes you'll even take a holiday to the beach, but you won't be able to relax. You'll spend all your time there sending out hundreds of trade requests a minute. There is no sleep, there is no rest, just a 24/7 Beijing grind. You often do things so fast you forget who you even messaged. Did Delve into my anus want 2C or 3C for that ring? Or was that little pump suck from a minute ago? And you don't want to embarrass yourself by asking. Just act cool. Put a chisel on the table so he knows you mean business. Don't worry, he'll be back. They always come back. Trading is a wild place, and you can also hang out on the global chat while you wait, which is a great and intelligent place to be. Currently, they're discussing if it's gay to suck your homie's dick, ironically. But there's one rival in my quest for capitalist domination: China. The Chinese conspiracy on Path of Exile is plain for all to see. They've grown so bold, they don't even bother hiding it. Chinese gold farmers running hundreds of bots threaten the stability of our economy. Global chat is often spammed with Chinamen with Chinese names like or asking you to go to dogfart.com to buy Exalt Orbs and Chaos Orbs for the low price of $2 or 1 cent a piece, respectively. Grinding Gear Games claims they do everything possible to stop gold farmers, but I can see through their lies like rice grains. GGG is a subsidiary of Tencent, which also owns Riot Games, and Tencent is owned by the Dalai Lama. Follow the paper trail, follow the money, and you'll find
He knows too much.
that GGG and the gold farmers are one and the same. Players will first buy currency from the Chinese orb cartel. The money is wired instantly by Western Union to the Dalai Lama, who pulls the kill switch and bans the player after several days. During those days of decadence and luxury, the player will get a taste for power, which is then cut off. Much like an addict, he craves for more exalted orbs, starts a new account, and tries to turn a new leaf, but we all know how it ends. But despite
Man, that same shit used to happen in Tibia all of the time. If you don't know what Tibia is, don't worry. It's a very shitty MMORPG. The only thing of note is that when you can open PvP with another player everywhere except like one tiny building in each town, which is the trade depot or the bank. But if he steps outside of the trade depot, you can fucking kill him instantly, basically. And the players always drop all of their items. The only exception is that if they have a special necklace that protects them, and they lose that necklace instead, and those necklaces are insanely valuable, by the way. But like, I remember my brothers were into the game really hardcore, and at some point they just started using bots to farm items and grind EXP. And they also used the premium subscription that allowed you access to certain premium areas, and you could do quests and whatnot that normal free players could not. But anyway, my brother grown tired of the game at some point. He stopped paying for his subscription, and after a couple of months, it was like almost like the devs realized he's not going to renew his subscription. He actually got banned for the bot he was using for like years at that point. It was so insanely plain to see that if you bought the premium subscription and you were botting, they very rarely actually took any action against you. But if that premium expires, you better be on the lookout. And of course, free accounts that did not spend money on the game, they just nuked almost straight away.
the strength of our enemies, we will trade on. That's what Path of Exile means to me. Or maybe it's my heritage speaking. I mean, we were expelled from over 200 MMOs after all. In all seriousness, Path of Exile is pretty amazing for a free-to-play product. If you like Diablo or any of its derivatives, you'll feel right at home with what I feel is a raw improvement over those old systems. However, keep in mind that Path of Exile started development centuries ago, and it's not very well optimized for your hard drive. So, if you can afford it, get an SSD and put Path of Exile on it instead. It should run like butter. The PvP arena is also really fun. Stun locking people never gets old. And remember to praise the all-holy Toucan daily on Global Chat. A temporary chat ban is a small price to pay to see all men of the world united in worship. Very good game. It gets a high score. The score is arbitrary. As always, more content to come, so stay tuned.
Hello, little fella, can you move?
A warm thanks to the many members of the Merchants Guild who have been generously funding and bankrolling these videos. This one is free though. You're all truly wonderful. Have a good one.
I love how much of that actually focused on the market and trading with other players, because for certain players in certain games, it is that you will spend a lot of time trading instead of like actually playing the game, you know, hunting monsters, doing dungeons and quests and whatever. Like, I know I had that episode with certain games, like Team Fortress, like I said before. And that side of games is honestly like as valid as just, you know, experiencing the content and whatnot, if the game has actually this like grown trading network. So pretty cool and very unique look at Path of Exile, I would say. And also, of course, completely hilarious as anything Seth makes. And this is going to be everything for today. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.